Hi, welcome to History 1301, Section 075. My name is Alfonso R. Lopez, and I will be your instructor for this class this semester. Now, what we're going to be doing in this video presentation is going over the syllabus. This is the class introduction. Consider this, for example, the very first day of class when you meet the instructor and students have the opportunity to find out about what the class is going to be, what we're going to cover, the structure, the mode of learning, the mode of instruction, what kind of exams are you expecting for this course, how you can prepare for them, will there be any assignments, and of course there will be one major assignment. We're going to be talking about that as well, due at the end of the semester, extra credit assignments, and due dates. Everything that you need to know to prepare for this course, know how to proceed, what are the expectations, what are your responsibilities. This video presentation is extremely important for providing guidance, for providing even strategies for how to actually prepare and excel in this course. Okay, everything you need to know will be actually provided here. Okay, this is like an orientation, if you will. This course, of course, has been already on Blackboard, uploaded in terms of the assignments, the instructional materials, and the syllabus has been there. But I want to take this opportunity to really just talk to you and actually guide you so you can have a more clear vision of this course. Okay, so let us turn our attention then to the syllabus, and for that we need to go over to Blackboard. This is the Blackboard page for this course. I just sent you an email announcement indicating that I will be uploading this video. It's called Class Introduction, and I will be uploading it on Monday, and I will send you an email announcement once it's ready. I will let you know. Okay, so please review this video as thoroughly as possible. If you want to take notes, that's fine as well. Again, this is very, very important. All right, so let's start from the most essential component of this Blackboard page, which is, of course, the syllabus. We're going to be covering the syllabus and, of course, making references to some of the links that this course offers, where you can find, for example, the course content, the instructional material, the assignments, where to upload the works, the exams. Again, everything will be explained here. Okay, so if you look at this left-hand column, this menu column, this blue column, again, you're going to see a series of links. The most important ones are actually placed at the very top. At the very top, of course, is the class introduction. That link contains this video, which will be available, of course, by Monday. But just beneath this link is the link titled Syllabus. When you click on it, you'll be taken to the syllabus page. The entire syllabus is posted here. Okay, the entire syllabus is posted here. If you want to print or save this file, of course, the file, you can see it here again on the very top, is a Word doc, of course, as well. Okay, if you want to keep it handy. Now, let's start from the very top. Again, this is History 1301, Section 075. This is U.S. history up to 1877. So this is the first half of U.S. history. This is a 14-week course. So it starts on January the 30th and it ends, of course, on May the 14th. My name is Alfonso R. Lopez. I will be your instructor for this class this semester. The fastest and easiest way to reach me is via email. I'm checking my email several times a day. So more than likely, Monday through Friday, you'll be receiving a response from me within a 24-hour period. So it all depends on what time of the day you send the email. But if it's very early in the morning, it might be the same day. more than likely again, but if it's already late, it will be until the next day. So if you have any question, any concern, any comment regarding the class, the exams, the grading, the content of the lectures, etc., please send me an email and I will respond as quickly as I can. It is only in the weekends that I might take 48 hours to respond, because again, it's always uncertain whether I'm here or I leave town, etc. I have other responsibilities during the weekend, but if you send, for example, an email on Saturday, you'll get a response for sure Monday morning. Okay, but Monday to Friday is, again, either the same day or the next day. Okay, 24-hour period. Now, ACC policy requires that all communication between faculty and students takes place within the ACC electronic resources, which means that you have to use your ACC email account whenever you're emailing me. Otherwise, the system actually notifies me when somebody's actually writing me from a private account, and it's pretty much put a warning there. Again, we're not supposed to be pretty much communicating outside of the ACC system in that fashion. So please, if you have an emergency or you have something important to communicate, please use the ACC email account, okay? If you require a prompt answer, for example, a prompt response from me. All right, so we are going to have a textbook for this course. Is stated here. The title is Reading American Horizons, Primary Sources for U.S. History in a Global Context, Volume 1. Make sure you're getting Volume 1, because Volume 1 is for 1301, Volume 2 is for 1302. Is the 4th edition. Also, again, and I put this on bold letters there again, 4th edition, because it is really the 4th edition that contains the documents needed to complete the assignment that is due at the end of the semester. So again, I'm letting you know right now that the reason why you need this textbook is for an assignment that is due at the end of the semester, late April. That is the reason. So this is not a standard text where you read about American history from cover to cover, like a narrative, like a story. This is a collection of documents. Letters, memoirs, laws, statements, a speech, for example, that was pronounced by a very important historical figure of U.S. history. Those are primary sources. So those are documents produced by the historical figures themselves. And so I'll be talking about the assignment in just a few moments. But again, why you actually need this book is really for that assignment. Again, you're not reading along with the lectures. This is not a book that is following up on the lectures, but rather is just needed for an assignment. So it's really a very thin booklet. It's about 190 pages in length, and the cost is about $20 when you buy it new. Used, it might be even less. You might get a used copy for $12, sometimes even $8 again. So this is the only financial investment in terms of textbooks that you're required to make for this course. I mentioned that you need the 4th edition because earlier editions do not contain the same documents. Every edition has different documents. Okay, so students who end up getting the 3rd edition or the 2nd edition have a very hard time completing this assignment just because they cannot find the documents. So again, if you want to make sure you're buying the right book, I have provided the ISBN number there. You can use that number to get the exact book that is required for this course, which you can find it online. Of course, Barnes & Noble sells it. But you can also buy this book at the ACC bookstore, particularly at the one at Highland, the Highland campus. That bookstore there has copies. That's something that from semester by semester again, they seem to be the one campus that actually carries this copy. Okay, and they only withhold those copies for a period of time. So don't wait until the end of the semester to buy it, because the bookstore, the ACC bookstore, withholds the copies for about 2 months. So let us say that around late March, if they haven't sold those copies, they're going to return them back to the provider. So you'll end up, really searching, scrambling to get this book again at online stores at the very end of the day, and it might take about a week to arrive. So again, you're probably going to be against the wall, against time, if you procrastinate actually buying this book. You don't need to buy it now, but I wouldn't procrastinate and start buying it in March. Again, I suggest that you start actually, buying it by next month, February or maybe early March, maybe at the latest. All right. So this is an online asynchronous course. This is the format. It is an online and it's asynchronous, meaning that there will be no designated class meetings on a weekly basis or at any basis whatsoever. We're not going to be meeting. There's not going to be any online conferences of any kind. The instruction is totally online, and the student will have total freedom to review the material in their own schedule. Okay, so you make your own schedule. I mean, you do have certain material to cover, so you're going to have to pretty much tailor your own schedule and make sure you review that material. So again, this is the only deal here, is that you do have responsibilities again, but you make your own schedule. Okay, so it is very flexible because you can actually have other responsibilities, work, family matters, etc. But at the same time, again, week by week, you're going to have to find some space, some room to be reviewing the material, and I will explain how this is going to proceed in just a few seconds here. Okay. Now, in terms of the course description, in other words, what we're going to cover, what is the material that we're going to cover in this course? So this is 1301, U.S. History 1301, which covers the first half of U.S. history. This is a basic requirement in colleges and universities, again, for all students, whatever your major. And this first half of U.S. history is going to cover U.S. history going back to the very, very ancient world, even prehistoric times, before humans began to write history. When we talk about prehistory or prehistoric times, we were talking about very remote times, again, when early humans appeared on the earth, if you will. We're going to be talking about the Native Americans as well. The indigenous peoples, the indigenous societies that inhabited this continent. Ever since that time, again, we're going to be talking about U.S. history there all the way to 1877. 1877 really is the end of the Civil War and Reconstruction era. Okay, this United States went through a civil war and a rebuilding, a process of reconstruction that ended finally in 1877. This is where our story ends. So we cover so many centuries worth of history, okay, in this first half. We are going to divide this great period of time into three main historical eras. Okay. The first historical era we're going to examine here will be the ancient world, from the ancient world to the age of discovery. So we're talking about, again, thousands of years worth of history that we're going to look at, for example, the origins of humanity, for example, in the continent of Africa, the migrations out of Africa by early humans, pretty much settling in different parts of the globe, and how some of those early humans made their way into the American continent. We're going to be talking about that, of course, and they became later on, of course, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, the Native Americans as they're called. And we're going to be looking, of course, at the major civilizations that flourished in the American continent, some of their features, their characteristics, and just identifying them, of course. We're also going to look at the ancient world in Europe, okay? Because Europe is also part of the story in the formation of the United States. The indigenous peoples are part of the story because they inhabited this continent that will become the United States, of course, North America. But Europeans is another group of people, another civilization that is also going to play a critical role in the birth of the United States. Okay, so we have to look at the European world in the ancient world, where the Europeans were coming from, what kind of world they inhabited, looking at the Greeks, the ancient Romans, for example. We're going to be looking at the Middle Ages as well. And eventually how the Europeans by the 12 and 1300s of the contemporary era are beginning to explore the world around them. The age of exploration, the age of navigation, the age of discovery that led to the discovery of America. Okay, we are going to understand the meeting, the encounters of two worlds, the European world and the world of the Native Americans. Two worlds are going to come into contact. There will be encounters, and we're going to be assessing those encounters in this class. And also we're going to be looking in this very first historical period how Europeans, as soon as the discovery was made, are going to start settling the new world. Okay, so we're going to talk about early settlement, early colonization. Okay, what forces were pushing the Europeans out of Europe to come to America, this newly discovered continent? And so there will be economic forces we're going to be looking at. There were, again, economic reasons why Europeans were coming to America, again, for developing enterprises like mining enterprises for gold and silver extraction, sugar plantations, tobacco plantations, again, for trade, for commerce, the export of furs in North America, the fur trade. So there were economic reasons, again, that were pushing Europeans out of Europe. But also, we're going to be looking at religious forces, religious causes that were pushing Europeans out of Europe. Europeans also were coming to America to establish religious societies, religious communities. There was, of course, a religious upheaval in Europe, the birth of Protestant Christianity, which led to thousands of Protestants to flee Europe, come to North America and many places of the New World in order to establish their Protestant Christian communities as well. We're going to be looking at that. Now, the second historical period we're going to look at in this course is called the colonial period. Okay, this is again a period of time that is much shorter than the first one, of course, because it's only a period of time between the early 1600s, 1607, all the way to 1776, which it is really the American Revolution. This is the period of when Great Britain is developing 13 colonies in the eastern seashore of North America, the development of the 13 colonies, and we're going to look at colonial society, colonial culture. One of the issues we're going to look at again is how this colonial society and culture is going to be very much shaped by the introduction of the African slave trade and African slaves. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the development, the emergence of the African slave trade, and how the southern colonies are going to receive tens of thousands, eventually hundreds of thousands, again, of African slaves that are going to be participating, of course, in the production of crops like tobacco and rice, for example, pretty much shaping the economy of the southern colonies. We're going to be looking at that very closely. We're also going to look at changes that were transpiring during the colonial period, how the colonies were becoming more diverse through the immigration patterns of Germans, for example. There will be a large influence of Germans coming into the colonies, Scottish people, Irish as well, that are going to be changing the culture of the 13 colonies, again, because it's not just British people settling in North America, there's also, again, non-British Europeans that are also settling. We're going to be looking at that. We're going to look at the encounters between the European settlers and the Native Americans, and how the Native Americans are undergoing change, cultural change, as a result of their contacts, their interactions with the Europeans, the spreading of Christianity, for example, among the African slaves, how the African slaves converted to Christianity, how the Native Americans converted to Christianity. We're going to be looking at that as well. In the story, we're also going to look at, how there will be also certain conflicts arising in North America between the European powers that were colonizing North America, like Great Britain, Holland, and France, and also conflicts with Native American groups. This led to the legendary French and Indian War, as it was called. The French and Indian War was really, again, a war between European empires on one hand, but also a war between Native American groups that were fighting on the side of different European powers again. So again, we're going to be looking at that as well, how the French and Indian War ended up changing also the colonies in very dramatic ways. And at the very end of the colonial period, we're going to be looking at the American Revolution, the independence movement, in other words, how the 13 colonies are going to come together and declare independence from Great Britain. We're going to explore the reasons very thoroughly, the economic factors that led to it, but also the philosophical factors. There were, a series of new philosophies and ideas that altered the way that the colonists were thinking about politics, about the creation of a new community that will be more democratic, if you will. Okay, so again, the birth of democracy, the birth of those ideas, influence again also the coming of the American Revolution. Now, the third and final historical period we're going to look at again is the national period, the early national period. Early national period. This is a time when the United States is formed as an independent country, as an independent nation. We're going to be looking at the formation of the American Republic. What were some of the ideas that were used to create the Constitution of the United States, and some of the challenges that the country faced very early on in the Republic. Again, we're going to be looking at that very closely. We're also going to look at some of the major historical events that shaped the early Republic, like the Industrial Revolution. We're going to be covering the Industrial Revolution as well, very fully, how the United States, the northern part of the United States, the Northeast particularly, is going to initiate the Industrial Revolution with the establishment of factories and railroads, for example, canals. We're going to see a very, very important transformation in the United States, in the northern states, and how this is going to change American society, how the lives of Americans living in the North under this new system of industry and capitalism is going to change. The change is going to change the way they work, the way they socialized as well, and the way they organize themselves again to produce everything that needed to be produced again. So we see a new economy on the rise. And also how this is going to divide the country between an industrial capitalist north, and in the south we're going to see the expansion of plantations and slavery. How in the south the decision was made not to industrialize. Okay, in the south, southern planters did not really follow the footsteps of the north in terms of industrializing the south, but rather just growing more and more cotton, because ultimately this is what industries up north require. They require cotton to produce clothing in the factories. So again, we're going to see, of course, how the United States is going to become increasingly divided between two different regions that had different economic systems operating simultaneously. One was industrial capitalism in the north, and of course in the south we have a plantation economy based on slave labor, which leads us to our final topic of the semester, which is the Civil War. How the country became increasingly divided between the North and the South, and eventually by 1860 there's going to be a rupture in the Union. That precipitated the War of the States, the northern states against the southern states, of course, called the Civil War. We're going to cover the Civil War quite fully and the process of Reconstruction, how after the defeat of the South, there will be efforts to bring back the South into the Union by enacting a series of changes and reforms upon the South that required, of course, the liberation of millions of slaves and granting certain basic freedoms and basic fundamental political rights as well. We're going to cover that quite fully. Again, I just summarized pretty much what we're going to cover in this course. Now, the way I present my lectures is that I focus when I talk about history, it's not just, describing or just naming the names of the figures that we're studying, or that you have to memorize dates and then you have to memorize certain figures or numbers, etc. The way I teach history is that I pay attention to how people think, what really was motivating people, to pursue their course of action. In other words, when I talk about history, I just don't say this is what happened in this year and this is what happened and just move on, but rather the question that I'm actually trying to answer here is why, why this happened, what people were thinking at a particular period of time, what was really going on in their minds. I try to psychoanalyze as much as possible their behavior and their actions, which means that I will not just be talking about politics and economics. Again, this course is not just going to focus, again, just on what politicians are doing and political parties and elections and presidents, or what the economy, how the economy is doing in any given decade, etc., which is, again, important, and we are going to cover that. But I also try to cover also, for example, what people believed in, the religion of the people that we're studying, what kind of beliefs they had about the world around them, about the afterlife, about what the meaning of life is, etc. I will be talking about that as well. I will be talking about culture, what were some of the values that people held dear in different points in time. That is what culture is, what people value, their traditions, for example, their pastimes, etc. All of that will be also discussed. I will be talking about society, social groups existed at different points in time, what kind of groupings existed here and there, were there peasants, were there artisans, were there merchants, for example, where there's religious communities, the lives of women, for example, different groupings, again, what we call society as a whole. Everybody will be pretty much integrated into the story. So again, this is not just a history about politicians and political parties, etc., but it's also a history about people. What people were doing, what people were thinking, what kind of religion they practiced, what kind of rituals they practiced, what were their daily lives like, and so on. Again, it's really a history of society as a whole. All right, so now the mode of learning. How are you going to be learning this material? How are you going to be learning this material? For those of you who already went to Blackboard and pretty much started browsing the different components, the links, etc., you probably already realized that there's a section that is titled Course Content, and one of the links under Course Content is Instructional Materials. Instructional Materials. Under Instructional Materials, when you click on it, you're going to find two folders. One folder is titled Recorded Video Lectures. When you click on that folder, it'll give you 9 folders, and each one of those folders contains 3 videos each. So let me just go back to pretty much tell you where it is. Instructional Materials under Course Content. You open this page. And although the computer is quite slow here, there's two folders: recorded video lectures. You click on recorded video lectures, and this folder is going to show 9 folders in turn. Okay. And each one of those folders, again, contains 3 videos, which means each folder is really a topic or theme that we're going to be covering. So again, this course, the way it is organized is that it contains 9 topics or 9 themes that we're going to be covering across the semester. Those themes, I just described them to you when we were talking about, for example, the course content. You know, we're going to be talking about, for example, Native American history, for example, at the very beginning. When you click on Native American history, culture, and religion, you're going to find 3 videos. They're recorded lectures that are identical to the lectures I provide in a face-to-face class. Okay? So what I've done is that I recorded all of my lectures. You know, the same lectures I provide in class, face-to-face, are recorded in the same fashion. So it's almost like a virtual experience of attending class. You know, this is, the mode of learning is that the way you're going to be learning this material is that your responsibility is to be watching those videos systematically, one by one, folder by folder by folder in that sequence. You know, each video has a number: session 1, session 2, session 3. The first folder, for example, there are 3 classes per topic. So you start with the very first topic, which is Native American history, culture, and religion, and you watch those 3 videos and take all the notes as possible. Okay. Once you do that, then you move into the second folder, which is the European discovery, conquest, and colonization of America. There are 3 videos on that, and you take notes. And you take notes in the same way that you will take notes if you will be attending a face-to-face class. Again, it's the same thing. You listen to the instructor. I will provide an outline. Of course, you will be seeing on the screen an outline that has bullet points and key ideas, which tells you the key concepts and ideas that you should be paying attention to. Those are the critical ideas, the critical information that you should be writing again. So this is, again, the mode of learning. Going back to the syllabus, your responsibility is to be watching those videos in your own time. Okay? Now, we're going to be having an exam every 4 weeks. There will be 3 exams. I'll be talking about that, just shortly. So your responsibility is to watch the videos of the very first 3 topics, okay, which are 9 videos, in a 4-week period. Because at the end of the month, by the end of February, we're going to have the first exam based upon the first 3 topics. Okay? The second exam, likewise, once we begin March, all March, you're supposed to be watching topics 4, 5, and 6. And then at the end of March or the beginning of April, thereabouts, we're going to have the second exam. And then for the final exam, you're supposed to be doing, again, in April, you're supposed to be watching topics 7th, 8th, and 9th. Okay, 7 and 8, 9. And then the final exam will be in early May, and that will be, again, an exam that will cover the last 3 topics. Okay? As I mentioned, the topics for the semester are listed in the syllabus, which means that the organization of this course is thematic. That is, in other words, that the lectures are not really provided randomly. I just don't lecture randomly from one topic to another and then I go back and forth, but rather I select one single topic, for example, Native American history, culture, and religion, and I lecture for 3 videos on that. And that's all you're going to be learning in that topic. So I just don't jump to the American Revolution and then the Civil War and then, no, I mean, it's just Native American history, the first topic. The same with the second topic. I talk about European history. You know, the Greeks, the Romans, the Middle Ages, the Age of Discovery, conquest, and colonization. That's all you're going to be learning about in the second topic. So you can take topic by topic, and this is all you're going to be learning again. So we cover 3 topics, then we have an exam. Okay, that is going to be based exclusively on the information provided in the lecture. So I repeat, the exams are going to be based exclusively on the lecture material provided in those recordings and nothing else. So if you really want to pass this class and excel, all you need to worry about is, oh, look, I need to watch those videos because the exams are all based on the videos. Okay, I don't need to be reading any materials outside like books and articles or anything, you know, for that matter. Okay, so having said that, let me just stress here that there will be 3 exams, as I mentioned. Each will be worth 25% of your final grade, and they're pretty much the same. The format is that it has 2 parts. Part 1, you're supposed to select 1 topic. Remember, you watch 3 topics, okay, the videos of 3 topics, but for part 1, you select 1 or 2 topics and you answer all of the questions of that topic as fully as you can for 70 points. So it's not really an essay. It's not like an essay like in English where you have to have a composition, like a topic paragraph, like a thesis statement, for example, and arguments and conclusion. It's not like that. But rather, I have like 4 questions for that topic. You select the topic that you wish to address, and then you answer all of the questions as fully as possible. Now, the answers that you provide have to be very, very descriptive, very detailed, and they must come from the lectures. And I repeat, they must come from the lectures only. In other words, if I start reading the answers again of, you know, your exam, and I start really reading something that I did not lecture, in other words, it's evident that you went online or maybe you consulted other sources, and then you start pretty much writing the answers with that material, your exam is going to be disqualified. Which really, what it is that what you're actually saying here is, I didn't watch the videos. Okay, I didn't really went through the instruction. It's almost like you didn't go to class. Okay, it's almost like you have a face-to-face class where you're supposed to be attending and listening to the instruction, but you didn't go. So the time the exam comes along, you're answering the question by harnessing ideas and information from a multiplicity of sources, but again, has nothing to do with what the instructor presented. So again, I'm stressing this because I have students that from time to time, semester to semesters, again, you know, they just think it's just easy to do that. In other words, look, I'm just gonna go online and I'm just going to paraphrase information and answer all the questions and just get away with it. No, I read line by line. When I'm actually reading your answers, I'm reading all the information, so I can detect right away when there's you know, the presence of outside sources. So again, I'm going to actually point out to you that this has been disqualified. So again, just avoid that, all that hassle, and just focus on the videos. In other words, this is the requirement. This is the instruction for this course, that you need to review this material. Again, every instructor presents history in very different ways, and they focus on different ideas and different areas. In my case, I present very clearly U.S. history in one way, and if you're taking a course with me, this is what you're supposed to be learning, okay? And the only way I can measure that and give you a grade is if the answers reflect the ideas, the analysis, again, the explanation, the theories that I have provided. Again, that's the only way I can measure your learning, okay? Part 2 of the exam will be the key term section. And the key terms, again, are extracted from the third topic. There will be a third topic, of course, and your responsibility is to answer that key term as fully as possible. Not just identify the key term, but rather provide a very thorough explanation of the key term, an extended answer for the key term. You answer 2 key terms from a set of 3 or maybe from a set of 5, etc. And that will be for 30 points again. That more or less, how we're going to proceed. You might find that in the key term section, I'm actually asking you to address 3 key terms from a set of 6. So every exam is different again, but it doesn't matter whether there are 2 or 3 key terms that you need to address. They need to be answered very thoroughly again to earn the 30 points. There will be 3 extra credit assignments. Everybody's entitled to do that. They're already on Blackboard under course assignments. There's a folder that says extra credit assignments. You read an article, you answer questions on the article. Very simple. You turn it in at the end of the semester. And you can add up to 10 points to each exam. With each extra credit assignment, you can boost your exam grade a whole letter grade upward. Again, so there's plenty of room to improve and progress in this course. Okay, there's 1 course assignment. It's called the Study Questions Report. Again, this is where you're going to need the booklet. It's titled Reading American Horizons. Again, you buy it. This is the 4th edition, the first volume. I selected 10 documents that are listed here in the syllabus. It tells you the page number, it tells you the chapter number, and it tells you the title and the questions that you're supposed to answer. So how to proceed? Well, you write the title on top of the document that you're about to address. When you start the page, you put the title of the document, and then you follow a question and answer format. You write the question, and then provide the answer, and then the question, and then the answer. So the answers for each document, not for each question, but the answers for each document must be 1 page in length, double space. So what that means is that, well, there are 10 documents that you need to read and address questions of. So at the end of the day, you end up with a 10-page report. Okay, a 10-page report, double space, it needs a cover page, and this is due April 27th. You have the whole semester to complete it again and upload it on Blackboard. Okay, all the instructions are here. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is a very simple assignment. The documents are very short reads. They're 2 or 3 pages in length each. So this is something that, is very easy to do, actually. So the grade distribution goes like this. First, second, and final exams, 25%, and the study questions report is 25%. That's 100%. Now, if you also take into account the extra credit assignments, that's extra points. And also, students who are progressing at the, like, let's say the first exam you make a 78, but then the second exam you progress, and then your second exam is an 86, but your final was a 92 or a 94. You submitted one extra credit assignment, maybe 2, but yet you ended up with an 88.78. Let it just say 88.75. Total grade average. So what I will do in that situation when I see an upward arc in your grades, you're moving upward. In other words, you're progressing, you're improving, there's effort from your part. What I do is that I pretty much give you the final push and give you the A. And that has to be rewarded. So effort and progress is also taken into account and will be rewarded. Keep that in mind. So again, your grades are not set in stone, but rather there's plenty of room for progress and improvement in this course. Important dates again is, spring break holiday will be March 13th and 17th. Now, another very important date here is April 24th. The last day to drop a class or withdraw is April 24th. You have until April 24th to either withdraw or drop this class, because if you fail to do so, even though you have never turned any assignment in, I'm going to have to give you whatever grade you got. Okay? That's going to be, the unfortunate situation again. The first exam is due March the 3rd. Again, March the 3rd is when you submit on Blackboard the first exam. The second exam will be due April 7th. This is the due date for the second exam, and the final exam is due May the 10th. Of course, the study questions report is due April 27th. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so keep those dates in mind. I will be sending you reminders, however, the first exam is due next week, etc. I will be in constant contact and communication with you, sending you important assignments, when the assignments are due, when the exams are due, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is all I have for you. I hope that this video presentation has been helpful in pretty much assisting you identifying, for example, where the assignments are located. Once again, the course assignments are located here under course content. When you click on their course assignments, all the course assignments for this course are located here. First, second, final exams, the study questions report, and the extra credit assignments. So they're there, all the instructions. The instructional materials contains the folders for the videos and the lecture outlines. My outlines are also shared as well in the second folder if you want to just look at my outlines. And also, if you're wondering where to submit the exams and those reports and the extra credits, is under here, submit work. This is, again, the links that you click on them will take you to the page where you upload those works at the appropriate due date. Okay, so once again, my name is Alfonso Lopez. I will be your instructor for this class this semester. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Send me an email and I will respond as quickly as I can. Okay, this is all I have for you, and I will be sending you this video on Monday. Thank you.